Aussies aren't having kids because they're too expensive. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Let's have a look at one of these bullshit articles again talking about how expensive kids are. So Australians, or Aussies, aren't having kids because it's too expensive. Now, is it because it is actually too expensive, or they're believing all the rubbish that they're fed by the media? Because I'm a father of 6 children. Now, they're not that expensive. Their kids are as expensive as you want them to be. You don't need to spoil them. It's really that simple. You know, the oldest ones, their stuff are hand-me-downs for the youngest ones. And today, I went out with 3 of them to go shopping. I had to go to Bunnings, and then I had to stop at J-Car to get some stuff. And afterwards, I took them out and we split a little burger 4 ways. Yeah, that wasn't, well, that was bloody expensive burger, but you find ways to make it cheap. I told the guy recession's coming, we got to save money. But kids are not this phenomenal cost that people expect. I don't know where they're getting it from, honestly. I guess people are, you know, everyone has to do 5 different extracurricular activities. You have to pay for them all. They need to go to the best private school. They need, you know, the latest gizmo computer and all of this stuff. That's rubbish. You don't need all of that. So let's see what they have to say here. Because, I mean, the sad reality is if people are avoiding having kids because it's not worth it, it's gonna be bloody sad and last half of your life. So Aussies are deciding not to have kids or put them off because of the current cost of living crisis. Now, I'm not surprised that they're putting them off because of the cost of living crisis. But the problem is, you've got a window. Especially the ladies, you've got a window where you're fertile and where it's easier to have children. Now, the older you get, the window of during your fertility cycle when you can actually conceive decreases. So now, as Rachel's approaching 40, she's probably got a window of 1 day, if that, during her cycle when she can actually conceive. Whereas if women are younger, like in their early 20s or even below, 18, around those ages, the younger years when they first become fertile, it could be up to a week or 2 weeks when they can conceive. And that's one part of how it's adjusting as you get older, why it gets harder for people to conceive. So you've got to be careful. You know, you don't leave it too late to have kids. Everything will work out one way or another. You'll make do. But you don't want to miss that opportunity. And I'm speaking from someone who's seen that in my career, who's seen other women have gone all the way through, worked for this architectural firm to build these beautiful buildings that no one gives a shit about, and missed out having kids. Not worth it. Honestly, it's not worth it. So, a Compare the Market survey of 1,005 Aussies found nearly 1 in 5, 16%, wouldn't have kids or would delay having them due to skyrocketing costs. More than a quarter of millennials, 28%, who are currently in their late 20s to early 40s, that's me, said they, okay, if you're in your early 40s, you should already have kids. I've got a 10-year-old. Okay, so millennials, most of us should already have children by now. Wouldn't have kids or would delay having them. 2 in 5, 42% of Gen Z also felt the same way. Yeah, well, Gen Z is still pretty young. Compare the Market General Manager of Money, Stephen Zeller, said there was a multitude of reasons why people were deciding not to have kids, like climate change. The fact that this is the reason people are not having kids shows you it's a mental illness. It really is. This isn't a global obsessive religion that they're deciding not to have children. They're so afraid of climate change. I couldn't bear to bear a child in this terrible world. Come on. They'll survive. They'll make do. They'll be tough. Unless they're soft little princesses like you are, who don't want to have kids because of climate change, overpopulation. The world is not suffering from overpopulation. It's going to peak and it's going to go down. Independence. They're selfish. That's the other way. Look at these bullshit excuses. Australia's screwed. Okay, it's screwed, guys. This is why they're going to have to. This is why they're bringing in their 400,000 immigrants. Okay, because all you bloody laziest ass millennials and Gen Zers aren't having any kids. That's why. Don't you dare bitch and moan about house prices when you're not having families. And complain about people being brought over. Oh, it seems the RBA record run of interest rate rises is sapping the money out of many people's lives, Zeller said. Between that and the exploding prices of fuel, energy, gas, and groceries, it's an expensive time to be alive, let alone take care of another person financially. It does not cost that much to take care of a child. If anything, you grow up and you're not partying as much because you can't go out that much. So you have to live at home. You find cheaper ways to entertain. You cook at home. It's not like it's cheaper. It doesn't cost that much more to cook for a few extra kids as yourself. You just make bigger meals. You buy in bulk. You find ways to make do. I think it's all psychological and fear. I mean, if climate change is the reason they're not having kids, these people are bloody idiots. In 2018, the government found the weekly cost of raising a kid was $140 per week for unemployed families and $170 per week for low-paid families. That amounts between $7,280 to $8,840 per year. $140 per week to $170 per week. I have to talk to the wife about that one. I seriously don't think we're spending that much on our children. This includes the costs of food, clothing, footwear, health, personal care, school expenses, housing and transport. Housing, you're going to have... Okay, you're going to have housing anyway. Schooling expenses, I mean, you've got public school, isn't that free? You know, that's not that expensive. Clothing and footwear, you can get stuff so cheap at Kmart now to dress kids. And if they're old enough to bitch and moan about it, then they can get a job. I was working at Woolies at 15. They can do something like that. Health and personal care, I mean, it doesn't cost that much. And food, it just wraps up in your other food. I don't... What are they talking about here? It's probably the private school that's expensive and the transport. Driving them around everywhere. Maybe they're doing too many extracurricular things. Maybe you cut back on that, limit it to one. You know, one. Like we did back in the day. I remember seeing that neighbours, every you know, you never see kids playing. I think ours, there's a few in the street that are playing now because they're more families. But back a few years ago. There's also the cost of having a baby in the first place, including pregnancy and childbirth costs. That doesn't cost that much. You go to a public hospital. What are people expecting? Setting up the baby's cot, as well as nappies and Come on. You buy it secondhand. You don't need to buy the $1,000 pram. You buy the secondhand one for $250. It's no difference. Okay, you're probably going to be stupid because you're a first parent. You're all excited and has to be absolutely new. By the time you're at number 5 or 6, you're well over that. You've seen the pram that you bought for an expensive amount of money get destroyed by vomit and shit. You don't care anymore. You're beyond all fantasies of it being perfect. Come on. Oh, maybe this just shows you what a spoiled society we are in a way. For Aussies who decide to have kids, Zeller said it's important to do some forward thinking, including how you will manage your household expenses, deciding whether you want your child to go to public or private school, and considering what your financial goals and priorities are. It's the schooling is the big cost. I know private school can be really expensive, like crazy expensive. And I don't know if it's worth it, to be honest. I don't know if it's worth it. Anyway, let's have a talk about this one. This is another bullshit article. Kids are not that expensive. You deal with it. Grow up and deal with your finances. Come on. Don't spoil them. There. Done. End of video. You tell me, guys. There's a lot of parents on the channel. Are your kids that expensive? I'm not seeing it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Check out my other channels, HeiseBim and Heise Does. And if you're a fan and enjoy the content I create here, you can watch us on... Hang on. Nope. What am I doing? There we go. You can watch us. Check out the other channels. You can support us on YouTube or Patreon. Use our referral links, buy our pocket squares, or call us if you need an architect. Take care, guys. I need a rest. I've had a long day. Oh, boy. Kids are too expensive. Just don't put them off. Find a way to have them. You'll regret it if you don't. Best thing in your life.